I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. Ah! It begins!
Gordos bombards the enemy Zoid pack. Forged in black steel, the Gordos will serve strong. Now the Stegosaurus sings the war song. With his back plates, Gordos will scan afar. GPS magnetic detector star knows another Zoids will escape his scan. They'll be blown to bits, that is his plan. Gordos, the Stegosaurus Stegosaurus roars loud. Gordos, the artillery Zoid is proud. Gordos, with high-speed guns he blasts the shroud. Gordos, says no empire Zoids are allowed. Gordos, the Stegosaurus roars loud. Gordos, the artillery Zoid is proud. Gordos, with high-speed guns he blasts the shroud. Gordos, says no empire Zoids are allowed. Great Gorgon, the rogue blue guardian Zoid, marches across planet Zoidstar destroyed. Untamed and unbound, he fights the red Zoids. With laser blasts, he sends them to the space voids. Forged in black steel, the great Gorgon stands strong. Content to roam, he shuns the blue Zoid throng. Great Gorgon is loyal to himself alone. He goes not to seek the planet Zoidstar throne. Great Gorgon, Stegosaurus brings a fight. Great Gorgon destroys all red Zoids in sight. Great Gorgon, crush the forces of Red Horn, the terrible one you scorn. But on his travels, Great Gorgon is laid low, attacked and his androids broken from below. Now humans control the Stegosaurus. Great Gorgon longs to hear the freedom chorus. Enslaved to the humans, Great Gorgon fights. Crushing the red Zoids, he sees many sights. A namer gave him his name, but not his will. Great Gorgon sees his next foe over the hill. Great Gorgon, Stegosaurus brings a fight. Great Gorgon destroys all red Zoids in sight. Great Gorgon, crush the forces of Red Horn, the terrible one you scorn. Great Gorgon, Stegosaurus brings a fight. Great Gorgon destroys all red Zoids in sight. Great Gorgon, crush the forces of Red Horn. Great Gorgon, the terrible one you scorn. Great Gorgon, Great Gorgon, Stegosaurus brings a fight. Great Gorgon destroys all red Zoids in sight. Great Gorgon, crush the forces of Red Horn. Great Gorgon, the terrible one you scorn. Great Gorgon, Stegosaurus brings a fight. Great Gorgon destroys all red Zoids in sight. Great Gorgon, crush the forces of Red Horn. Great Gorgon, the terrible one you scorn. Great Gorgon, the rugged battles black Zoid, ultimate mind Zoids, he sees many sights. The namer gave him his name, but not his will. Great Gorgon sees his next foe over the hill. Great Gorgon sees fight Gorgon, battles black Zoid, ultimate monster machine must be destroyed. Though Great Gorgon falls, his future is not told. The black steel Stegosaurus will rise bold. Great Gorgon, Stegosaurus brings a fight. Great Gorgon, ultimate monster machine must be destroyed. The Great Gorgon falls, his future is not told. The black steel Stegosaurus will rise bold. Great Gorgon, Stegosaurus brings a fight. Great Gorgon, destroy all the Trojan fleet. Great Gorgon, crush the forces of Red Horn. Great Gorgon.
is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It wages still, with no end in sight. The Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.